Okay, is the sound, oh, okay, I can hear me now. I have 3 microphones here with me. So, welcome everybody. It's been 2 weeks now since the last time the monastery was closed. So how are you? How have you been doing? Good? I remember one Sunday day of mindfulness, and I was on a washing up team with one of the brother Đức Khiêm, and I asked him, what do people mean when they ask, how are you? And so my brother said that, yeah, it is just like an informal question. When we ask each other about our health, we ask, how are you doing? How have you been doing? And we don't have to give a literal response. You may say, yes, well, I'm fine, thank you. Like Sister Thủy Tiên, if I ask you, how are you? You would say, I'm fine, thank you, and you, because that is the way we learn English in Vietnam. And so it's very interesting. On that same day, I was in the same Dharma sharing group with Brother Minh An, and he inspired me so much. He also used that same question to invite everybody in the group to come back to the awareness of breathing. And he told the story of him going to the mountain and crossed path with another hiker, and the man asked our brother, how are you? So, but when the brother was about to respond, then the man went away or ran away. So he didn't have a chance to answer. And it's so interesting. I also reflect on this when I go out with my sisters to shopping. And at the checkout counter, the cashier asks, how are you? And if the person does not look at me, I take a few seconds to think whether or not I should answer. So I'd like to make a suggestion. As we listen to the 3 sounds of the bell, we come back to the awareness of our breathing, and we consider that the bell is also asking us, how are you? How have you been doing? So just to check in with ourselves, how am I? How am I doing? Sometimes it is good that we can breathe life into something that seems to be conventional or ordinary or common, like the question, how are you? But if we are present for the question, and if we are present for the answer, for the response, it makes a difference. Okay? So let us practice this. And in this way, we already taste the fruits of Plum Village practice that Thầy encouraged us to do, is that you remember the first fruits of Plum Village practice. Yeah, Sister Daffodil said that I have arrived, I am home, and I dwell peacefully, I dwell happily in this present moment. So the fruits are available for us all to taste. Dear respected Thầy, dear brothers and sisters, dear friends. Yeah, I have arrived, I am home and dwelling peacefully, happily in the present moment. It's something that our teacher Thầy would always remind us to practice. And so when we do sitting meditation or walking meditation, or when we sit in a Sangha's meeting, and if we are able to maintain a steady concentration on this practice, then we for sure will attain like a lot of insight. But in reality, not always we can do that. I remember that, the past 2 weeks when I had a chance to go on a camping trip with my monastic siblings, and I caught myself in like being overwhelmed by the tiredness and the boredom. So at some point during the hike, I asked my brother Brahmani, when will we arrive, when we finish this never-ending hike? I was so tired. I could not enjoy, even though the landscape is so beautiful. Of course, in order to regain some peace, to regain some balance, there's only one way that we practice. Yeah. So I remember that on the hike, our sisters even encourage other hikers that you're almost there. Yeah, we encourage, we give hope to each other. You're almost there in 40 minutes. And so one sister said that take one step at a time, one breath at a time. And I also apply that so that I can continue to be able to enjoy the hike with my brothers and sisters. And on the hike, there were so many friends who were so interested in us, seeing us. I'm monastic, like we say, we introduce ourselves as Buddhist monks and nuns from San Diego. And they were so interested. And they even thank us. Hey, thank you for your tips. Because we encourage them. So it was a very wonderful experience for me to be with my brothers and sisters on the camping trip. Because for me it was like beginning a new practice with myself, with my relationship with outing. Because in the past, somehow I had some aversion to long, lazy days or outings. And so I would react it by just like yes, there's something not going right. Okay, thank you. So I would react it by like work. So this time I gave me the opportunity to renew this relationship within myself. And on a trip, so I finally feel happy that I went like Brother Mindin, because we got to bond better the relationship with brothers and sisters. That's something that we don't often have, like at the monastery after the day of mindfulness ends or the retreat ends, then we go back to our home hamlet. But on a trip, we had a chance to see like the motherly love side of our brothers, like Thầy Pháp Dung or Thầy Pháp Hội. Thầy Pháp Hội, he would make sure that everybody would not be hungry. And yeah, and sisters and brothers would have got to know each other better. So one day we were sitting at the sunset point watching the sunset, and I could hear people when they were passing by, they whisper among themselves, "Oh, they are meditating." And I could also pick some French words from the French visitors. They say, "Oh, they are Buddhist monks." So it is so good that when we go out and we go as a group, we also like somehow carry the practice with us and also inspire other people. And another experience that I like is that I saw Brother Pháp Nhĩ in his sweatshirt that has the name Trailblazer. I like this word so much, and let us explore the meaning of this word. Trailblazer. So I look it up, and it said this is a trailblazer is a pioneer. What else? An innovator, a lifelong learner, and the leader who creates paths and opportunities for other people to follow. So one of my happiness going on the hiking trails was to feel my gratitude to those who built the roads and the paths for us, so that we can discover and we can enjoy the nature, the beauty of life. I wish I could write poems or I could write songs in order to express my happiness and my gratitude, but I cannot. So I'm so inspired by my sister who wrote a nice song. It's also related to the road, and it goes something like this: the road is long, and we, each one of us, must take these steps on our own, and the road winds on, but we are not alone. So on the path, even on the path, I had my brothers and sisters who were so kind to help carry for me a jacket or a water bottle, but I myself have to take the step on my own in order to arrive at the destination. And it depends on me, on my practice, whether I can make it to the destination with joy, with freedom or not. So each one of us must take these steps on our own. We practice for our own liberation, transformation, and healing. We have the support from the community, from the teacher, from friends, but then, yeah, we should be the only one who make great efforts. And so walking on the hiking trails, if we are present enough, if we are aware enough, we will feel all the hardships, all the sorrows, the sweats and tears of people, and even their hard-earned experiences to build the road for us. So when I came back from the hike, our camping trip, and whenever I walk on a path, whether it is on a walking meditation or when on a street with the Sangha, yeah, I always give rise to happiness and gratitude to those who have built bridges and roads for us. And so, talking about the path, we also have a spiritual path. Yeah. And I'm so grateful when we think of Thầy, our teacher. He is also a trailblazer. Yeah. So when I look into the definitions of what it means, trailblazer, I see that Thầy has all of this. The pioneer, the innovator, someone who has created paths and opportunities for us. And so we know that Thầy, for his whole life, has tirelessly created and contributed to renew Buddhism. And he always encouraged his disciples, his students, to do the same, to be creative in the practice, so that we could offer concrete and appropriate practices for the sake of all beings. Today, when we are going to recite the 14 mindfulness trainings, and also on the occasion that the International Plum Village Centers celebrate the 40-year anniversary of Plum Village, yeah, I would also like to take this opportunity to express my deep gratitude to Thầy, the Trailblazer. And I am also very happy and grateful to my elder monastic Dharma teachers who are continuing Thầy so beautifully. And what I'm going to share next is about the revision of the third training that our monastic Dharma teachers have just recently supported. Let us have one sound of the bell. So we know that in November last year, 2021, a group of international Plum Village lay practitioners, including OI members and Dharma teachers, they sent a request to the monastic Dharma Teacher Council, proposed that we make some review and revision of the third mindfulness training, so that the language used in the third training regarding true love can be more inclusive. And so since then, our Dharma teachers took it into consideration, and they formed a group, like a committee, to work on the revision of this training. And so since April this year, they worked, I believe they must have worked so hard, going through a lot of discussions, and yeah, they must have overcome different challenges in order to come to the agreement, to the updated version of the training. And yeah, it's just to rephrase the part that addresses the support, yeah, asking for support from friends, from those who they trust, to support them in a long-term relationship. And also to add the part that we practice non-discrimination to those practitioners who are based on the gender identity or sexual orientation. And so today I would like to also go, when talking about Trailblazer and all the definition, I find myself as a lifelong learner. So I like to look into the revision of this training as the lifelong learner, because I'm so inspired when I follow, even though quietly, but I follow the discussions from our monastic Dharma teachers, and I'd like to open in order to continue to learn, because our teacher Thầy, he also opened the path for us. He said that when Buddhism enters a country, it acquires the form, another form, and Buddhism in this country will be different from other countries. And Buddhism, in order to be Buddhism, must be appropriate to the psychology and the culture of the society that it serves. So our teacher Thầy, he himself already led us, like encouraged us. He showed the way, and he encouraged us to continue him in our study, in our practice, to help enrich the heritage, the true teachings of the Buddha. And if we look closely at each training, we will see the AAA principle. So can I take the revised training as an example? I'm going to read it. Aware of the suffering caused by sexual misconduct. So you see, A stands for awareness of suffering. I am committed to cultivating responsibility and learning ways to protect the safety and integrity of individuals, couples, families, and society. So I am committed. Knowing that sensual desire is not love. Knowing is like awareness, right? And that sexual activity motivated by craving always harms myself as well as others. I am determined not to engage in sexual relations without mutual consent, true love, and deep long-term commitment. Determined. So I am committed, I am determined. So if you find another letter A that goes with committed and determined, what would you say? Synonym for determination, commitment. A. We use some acronym in order to help us remember. So we have A. First letter A is for awareness of suffering. The second letter A is aspiration. How's that? Aspiration. So I aspire. I am committed. I am determined. And I will do everything in my power to protect children from sexual abuse and to prevent couples and families from being broken by sexual misconduct. I will do anything in my power. Recognizing the diversity of human experience, I am committed not to discriminate against any form of gender identity or sexual orientation. Practicing true love, we know that we will continue beautifully into the future. Practice. So can you help me find action? Yeah. So when we study and observe the mindfulness training, we will see in each training it will have this principle, AAA principle, awareness of suffering, and give rise to aspiration, to determination, to commitment, and action. And the action taking here, sometimes we take action by not doing anything, like to stop, by stopping. I am committed not not to engage in sexual relations without mutual consent. So we see that if in the past, when we did not have the practice yet, we would have some unhealthy practice, right? So now, since we have the path, we know the way, and we aspire, we are determined not to do it anymore. Stop. So stop. We take action, but the non-action, right? Stop doing the things that will cause harm. That is one option, one aspect. And sometimes we proactively take actions, especially if that action goes to the direction of protecting, preventing, reducing, or enriching. So like in the case that we see that Thầy, for his whole life, has contributed tirelessly to help renew Buddhism, to make the practices more and more appropriate to our time, then it is us, our responsibility and our love to Thầy, to the Buddha and the Patriarchs, to continue him, to continue them. So we can see which action we can take, and those actions must come from the ground of deep understanding of the situation. Can we have a sound of the bell? So we hope that in the upcoming retreats, we will see the final version of this revised training. There might be some more discussion before we come to the final decision, but at least when I see, when I look into this, I have hope, I have faith in my elder brothers and sisters who dare to overcome the challenges, and who are not afraid to face challenges, resistance, and courageously and conscientiously open the path for us, because we know that if we can do so, we bring a lot of happiness to many more people. The next part of this talk today, I would like to share with our friends about the 4 ways to skillfully involving people in the practice. So when our friends come to the monastery and practice with us, and these are some of the skillful means that we hope that we can bring benefit to you. The first is giving. when we talk about giving, we talk about the necessities in our life, like a place to live, clothes, medicine when we are sick, and what else? And food, right? Like the material resources, and the time and the energy that we give each other to support each other on a path of practice. Remember yesterday when in clarity you were enjoying lunch. We were having spring roll sung quyển for lunch, right? And one sister commented that, he said that, oh, after 2 sounds of the bell, nobody stood up to wash the dishes because we were enjoying the food so much. Like in the roll, we see the manifestation of spring because we have fresh greens and herbs from the garden with all other feelings. So to give, we have material giving, and we have the giving of the Dharma, right? Material. And the giving of the Dharma, meaning we offer the practices. So the food itself is delicious because sisters cook well, yeah? I remember when friends come and before they leave, they always appreciate the food that the sisters cook. So the talent, the skill put in making the food is one thing. And another thing that is equally important is the practice that the sister put into cooking. It is love. Yeah. Before we prepare the meal, we light the incense to the Bodhisattva, a food inspector, and we give rise to the awareness that may we cook with our team in harmony and peace and with love. If we are caught up with some strong emotion, Thầy would advise us not to cook. Yeah. So it is an offering. We want to offer the good energy to the food that we make for the Sangha. And we offer non-fear to our friends. We have the practice. Thầy always taught us non-fear because we have the path of practice. Yeah. People often ask, oh, after Thei's passing, what would happen next? Will the Plum Village centers be divided into different schools, like in the Buddha's time, and all the things? But if we are true to the authentic teachings of Thầy, of the Buddha, we know how to take refuge in practitioners who are grounded, solid in the practice. So we have a path, we don't have to worry. Yeah. If our friends come to practice with us and they leave the monastery full of fear and anxiety, we need to check again in our practice. So we have giving, and then another skillful way to involve people in a practice is the beneficial acts. We do things that bring benefit to all people. So when we look into the schedule, we see all the activities is to cultivate or strengthen peace and happiness. Right? So when we recite the sutra, when we practice and study the precepts, the training is also to help bring benefit to people, like to generate more energy of mindfulness. And next, do you remember the 4 ways to skillfully involve people in the practice? We have giving, we have beneficial acts. Do you remember? There are 2 more to go. This is practicing together. We live in a community, we do things together, we practice together. This is called fellowship. Fellowship, or practice together, or we do things together. Like on the hiking trails, because we're a group of 20 people, so there are those of us who are young, they go fast, they want to arrive at the destination early, right? So if you want to go fast, you go alone, and if you want to go joyfully, you go together. Yeah, a group of us, I was in that group, the slowest group. But yeah, we had a lot of fun. We took pictures and we exchanged fruits. Imagine when in the monastery everybody is doing something together, like people are practicing sitting meditation, and I'm the only one who sleeping. Everybody else is having meal, and I'm doing something else. So I become like the odd one out. I'm wondering if the sister knows how to translate this into Vietnamese. The odd one out, kẻ lạc lõng, kẻ là lạc lõng mà vì thấy mình không có giống ai hết. So we do things together in order to contribute to the group, the collective energy of practice, and also we ourselves benefit from this collective practice. And another skillful means, anyone knows, anyone helps me? Loving speech, yes. Loving speech. And because all the practices, they are interconnectedness. So when we talk about loving speech, we also mention deep listening. They go hand in hand. Deep listening. I'd like to touch a little bit on this practice, because recently I see that I'm not very successful. If we want to win others' heart, we practice loving speech and deep listening so that the person feel that that we are present for them and we are kind to them, right? Yeah, I see that recently when I go to Sangha's meeting, I easily get reactive if I hear something that is not according to my point of view. And so I want to make sure that next time when I go to the meeting, I have a fan with me. And I would choose to sit where there's fresh air, so ventilation, so that my head wouldn't be too hot. So loving speech, I also pay attention to what it means, intent versus impact. Intent versus impact. So when I say something, when I do something, it is my intention, right? I intend to think like that. But impact is that how my speech, my action is perceived by the other person. So sometimes I mean good, I have good intention, but the other person may take it differently, and the other person may feel offended by my words or by my action. And this is something I think I need to pay more attention if I want to be successful in the practice of using loving speech and practice deep listening. I'd like to tell you a story. So in France, Thầy said that, okay, when you are in France, you are supposed to learn French. If you can't speak French, you're not supposed to eat French baguette. So we try to learn French when we are in French. And one day, a group of sisters went on a teaching trip. And when it came to security check, other sisters already done, and they were standing at a corner to wait for the last sister in a group. And so the security officer suspected something in the bag, so he asked in English. What is it inside? And my sister, she wanted to show her good intention to speak French with a French person. So she meant apple. And do you know apple in French, what it is pronounced? Pomme, right? But somehow, because for Vietnamese people, when we speak a foreign language, and for the consonant sound like p, k, yeah, we cannot articulate well. So instead of saying pomme in French, just one word, and she said bomb. And right away, it just turned on the alert in the officer, security officer. Like he was so scared, and he wanted my sister to stand there for him to do some further check. So that's, you see, the intention, the good intention and the impact. And all the sisters, they were standing there and they wonder what happened. Why the other sister was so long, it took her so long. But then luckily, somehow the security officer, he must have thought again. And he looked into this sister, this nun, she is still young. And look at her face, it's so innocent. And imagine if somebody say, bomb, in a very, gentle way and with a smiling face. How can it be a threat? Right? So finally, the security officer let my sister go through the security check, and she was the last person to get on board. And so the sisters told Thầy the story. At that time, Thầy was still healthy, and he had a good laugh. Okay, so coming back to intent and impact. Living in a community when we are so diverse in terms of culture, And I remember one time, because for us, the Vietnamese culture, it is normal. Then when you talk to your younger sister in a very direct way, but you mean that you want to do good things for your younger sister. You want her to be better. So out of care and love, yes, I have good intention. That is out of care and love. I said to my younger sister, "Hey, you are smelly. Did you take a shower yet?" And I was not aware of my words, even though I meant nice and kind, but my younger sister got offended by this, especially if the person came from a different culture, background. So living in a community, we continue to learn from one another, to learn the differences in in each other's cultural backgrounds, educational backgrounds, so that we can be open to learn, to be more careful in the way we speak to one another, or we behave, interact with one another, and also to be more skillful, in the way we use words. Like if I want to remind somebody, especially those who are new in the practice, about not talking while you are washing dishes, then I cannot say, "Hey, don't talk while you are washing dishes," because the person does not know. So I started to learn, like, just let the person finish what they are doing, and skillfully, gently ask the person to come to another spot in order to just explain to them. So I think that we need to prepare ourselves for the next activity, which is the 14 mindfulness recitation ceremony. So I would like to end my sharing here. And I hope that in the recitation ceremony, when it comes to the question, have we studied, observed, and practiced it, meaning the training, in the past month? I'd like to invite us all to take this opportunity to reflect onto ourselves and be true, that whether we have studied, we really study, observe, and practice the training, where we are at in our practice. And so thank you so much for your listening, for your support. And we end here with the 3 sounds of the bell. And please wait for me to be seated on here, that we can practice together. Taste the fruit of practice, arrive in our breath, feeling at home in our breath and our body, and we dwell peacefully in this present moment.